Hello everybody, it's the Aspieman here. I figured I'm going to be trying out, a different approach, but for you guys to actually have a visual representation of my podcast in case you want to watch, as well as just listen. So I'm about to record my podcast, but before I do, I'm going to have a cigarette and take a little minute to make the video more unique than the podcast itself. So it kind of gives you another reason to want to watch the video, and kind of just allows me a little bit of time to interact with you guys on a personal level without things going on in the podcast, because I try to keep my podcast kind of clean and kind of topic orientated when I'm actually recording. But on my YouTube channel, I can kind of be a little bit more myself and relaxed. And also I can have a cigarette here as well, because smoking whilst recording with this doesn't sound very good. So, my podcast is now available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podbean, which is where it started off to begin with, and I'm also now trying to progress it onto a few other platforms. So there's going to be plenty of places where you can listen to my episodes from, and I will be doing regular videos like this, so that you can have visual representations of my podcast as well. And if I can get over 1,000 subscribers, then I can even do live podcasts as well. So you guys can watch me live as I record one, and you can interact with the show. But you have to help me get to 1,000. You know? It doesn't just happen overnight. I'm going to need your help to get there. So, before I begin, what I want from you guys is share this around to as many of your friends, your family, whoever you feel could benefit from this, and hit that subscribe button and hit the like button, leave a comment. If there is a particular type of topic which you want to hear me talk about, or if there's anything you could do some advice about, maybe, then get in touch with the show. I'll leave a comment, and I will do my best to advise you all. Because I've been through maybe in the past 10 years, I've probably been through enough stuff to write a book, which is what I am doing. But also from the perspective of someone that has autism, the reason I'm doing this is because there's been a bunch of times in the past where I kind of wish that there would be somebody out there that could relate and have some really relevant advice that I could use to move on and to cope. And I didn't really have much of that. I had to kind of, in some places, pull myself out of the hole I fell into. So I'm hoping with these podcasts that, and even with this channel, that I could be the light that I didn't have when I found myself in a dark place. And there'll also be a little bit of humor thrown in there too. So I try to make my podcasts relevant, interesting, helpful, and kind of fun, I guess. Have fun. So, without further ado, we're going to get on with the show. Smoking is a bad habit. I really need to try and cut down. I did used to have a vape. I used to have an e-cigarette, but that got stolen. Anyway, let's get on with the show. I got my studio mic here as well. Gotta be professional. Alright. Hello and welcome back to the Aspieman. And this is episode 5. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about being cheated on and moving forward. Now, we had Lise write in the show asking a question, but before we get to that, I am currently recording this podcast that you're listening to now over on my YouTube channel. So if you want a visual representation of what you're hearing, then head over to my YouTube over at the Aspieman and subscribe, and you can see your regular visual interpretations of my podcast as I record them. And I'm also on my Instagram over at the Aspieman, where you can keep up to date with regular occurrences. And you can also get in touch with me if you have any questions, if you have any particular topics which you'd want to talk about, or if you want any advice about, then don't hesitate to get in touch with the show. So, without further ado, let's get to it. So, being cheated on, cheaters, cheating is horrible, it's awful, and unfortunately it's a regular occurrence in this world, and it really shouldn't be there, but it happens. It sucks. Cheating is awful, and I have been on the receiving end of that many, many times. And I'm going to be just talking about that. And I'm also going to be talking about how to move on from it, and what to do if you find yourself in a position where you've been cheated on, and what to do, what you should do. From personal experiences, I guess. I'm going to be sharing some personal experience with you all, so that you could probably get some relevance. So anyway, Lise has wrote into the show, and she asks how to not give in when an ex begs for you back. Now that is a really interesting question. Now, the answer to that depends on a couple of things. Now, if your ex has cheated on you and they're begging to take you back, there's got to be some ground rules here. Because the cheater can't have any skeletons in the closet that strictly outlines any chance of forgiveness. So what I mean by that is, if they're like actually maybe married, or they got kids and a family and they've been hiding that from you, then they have no place to be begging to take you back. That's where you say, no way, not interested. And you cut ties with that person and you just blank them, move on. But however, if they got no baggage and they just made a mistake, and for whatever situation they found themselves in that led to them cheating, so whether that had been through a drunken mistake, or whether maybe they might have had some underlying commitment issues, any kind of insecurities, or any lack of communication. Whatever their reason was for why they cheated. If they're begging for you to take them back, what you have to kind of ascertain is if they're being an honest person and really wanting to make things better. So again, if they don't have any baggage, then what you can do is you have to find out if they're being honest. So the cheater needs to be honest, not just with you, but with themselves. They need to be honest about why they cheated. They need to be upfront and tell you what they did and why. And not go into any kind of gory details. You know, I'm pretty sure nobody wants to hear about who got bent over what kitchen table where and whatever. You know, nobody wants to hear that stuff. Unless, of course, you ask about those details, then, you know, whatever floats your boat. But what I'm saying is, you want to be finding out what it is that caused it. So was there any commitment issues? Did they have any insecurities? Was it a drunken mistake? They have to be completely honest. And they've also got to be genuinely committed that they want to work through their mistake. And what that entails is a lot of begging for forgiveness, but not even just begging. They need to show the person they cheated on. They need to show them that they made a mistake. They need to show them that they're sorry. They need to take action to prove to them that they can be loyal again, that it will never happen again. And from personal experience, I mean, sometimes it can happen. Sometimes you can give them a chance and they never will do it again. But in some cases, they might be testing to see what they can get away with, and they would do it again, and then they would just beg for forgiveness again. In that case, you gotta kind of have a little bit of resilience, because if you forgive them the first time, and they prove to you that it's not gonna happen again, but then they do it again, then that's where you gotta kind of cut ties. That's where it becomes over the line. Like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, kind of thing. And now I have been in two situations where, in the first situation, I was cheated on and I gave them another chance. And in the second situation, I was cheated on and I just couldn't give them another chance. I couldn't do it. So, and these were two different people, mind you. It's not a person who cheated on me once and I forgave him and they did it again. It was in situation one, the person cheated, but then I forgave them. Situation two is they cheated and that was it. That was like end game. Like, not gonna happen. Because in situation two, I was at a place where with this person, I had really let my guard down. I had instilled a lot of trust into this person. I had been open and honest with them about the things I'd been through, and that I was worried that I didn't want this to happen again. And despite her telling me, I would never do that to you, I'm not like those other girls, I'm not going to do that, and I let my guard down and I gave her my trust, and she betrayed it. She deceived me, fully well aware of what I'd been through, completely aware that I've been hurt before, and she did it anyway. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't forgive her. I wouldn't take her back. I just hands down said no. I just couldn't. Because I had been deceived by somebody who I gave my everything to. And they betrayed that. And that's the kind of betrayal you cannot forgive. Because of how open and how exposed you were. It can't be forgiven. Because you're at a place where you're expecting safety. You're expecting comfort. And the last thing you want when you're in that almost vulnerable kind of position is the last thing you want is for somebody to hurt you, essentially. Apologies about a little bit of banging and noise in the background. I just got some stuff moving around the house, so it's making extra background noise. But yeah, I was in a very vulnerable state where I just could not forgive them. Even if they were to be begging me, saying, oh, please just give me a second chance. It's like, no. I have better principle, better value to myself than that. I couldn't risk forgiving to be hurt again. Because then that would hurt more. But not only that is that trust would never be the same again. Even if I did give her another chance. That initial trust, that initial that initial confidence would never be the same way again. I'd be forever thinking, if a similar situation arose where, oh, so she's hanging out with such a person, or oh, she's taking a while to answer a message, or oh, hold on, what's it, any kind of situation that might make me think something's going on, what wouldn't have been there in the first place would be a ever constant kind of worry. And I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to bring myself to do that. So, and going to the first situation, now I wasn't as thick-skinned as I am now. So I was more forgiving back then. I was more trustworthy. So in the first situation, when I was cheated on, and she'd said, "Oh, I'm really sorry," and she'd explained the reasons why and everything, and she made action to prove that it wouldn't happen again. And so I instilled that trust. And albeit, I was like a little bit paranoid. I wouldn't say paranoid, but I would still think on occasion, oh, well, is this going to happen again? It would always be there in the back of my head. But not as prominent as that kind of thing would be today. And so I gave her a second chance because there was a family thing there as well. We'd had a child together. So we had to kind of work through that for the sake of having this child. Because I wanted to keep the family unit together. But unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way in the end, because a lot of other stuff and contributing factors happened to the ultimate end of that particular relationship. But the initial cheating, the act of it, I forgave because of the action that she initially shown me, to show me that forgiveness can be given, that she wouldn't do it again. And in all honesty, at first, I was right to forgive her, because she did prove to me that she could be given a second chance. But then, as I said, things happened. So it all depends on your resilience. It all depends on your resilience when it comes to being able to forgive somebody or not forgiving. But then, how to not give in if they beg for you back? If you're specifically asking how to not give in, so if you're adamant you don't want to give in, then you need to cut contact with the person that's begging for you. So you block them, because they've deceived you. They hurt you. You're not the one that's done anything wrong. That's on them. That's their mistake. And if you don't want to trust them anymore, then they should be big enough to accept that, and to accept the mistake that they have made, and to accept the consequences of their actions, to move forward. And they should then have the audacity to learn from their mistake, to not do it again in the future should they ever get with anybody else. Because if you make a mistake, that mistake can either be your greatest teacher or it can be your greatest downfall. Because if you can learn something from that, then it's your greatest teacher, and you gain a new sense of wisdom, and you get a better sense of self-betterment. But if you don't learn from it, and you keep making the same mistake, it's going to be your downfall, and you're not going to make any progress. So, to not give in to taking someone back who's cheated on you is to cut contact. You want to get them out of your life and let them deal with that. Let them deal with that consequence they have to face, because that's on them, not you. What you should be doing is focusing on yourself to move on. You should be concentrating on healing and repairing the damage that they caused. You should be engaging in self-care. You should be being more aware of the present moment. Having a little self-awareness and trying not to think on the past, trying not to think too much about the future. You kind of have to think almost with a sense of stoicism about like what Marcus Aurelius, the great philosopher, used to teach, And philosophy can be a great thing for this. It can be a great mindset to have. Because to heal, to move on, you have to understand that what's happened, you cannot change. You cannot change what's happened. You cannot control what another person does. And when you can slowly accept that, then you find yourself in a sense of freedom, a sense of self-peace, to be able to go on with the rest of your life and not have to worry about that person anymore. Because the moment they cheat you, and the moment that they deceive you, they should no longer be of a concern to you. Because they are the ones that screwed up. And I know how much it hurts. I have been through this. I always used to ask myself, was it me? Was it something that I did? Could I have done something to prevent this? But the thing is ultimately, if they want to cheat, that's their decision. They always have a choice. Because true loyalty, true unbounded loyalty, comes from not cheating in the first place. Because if you truly want to be with somebody, if you truly want to be committed to a relationship and be loyal, then you don't cheat on them. If they're giving you their world, if they are giving you their heart, you don't cheat. You don't break it. Because they've entrusted it to you. They've entrusted their being to you. So you can't break it. If you're unhappy, if you're in a situation where you're finding yourself looking at other guys or looking at other girls, and you're having fantasies about sleeping with them, then there's something you're not quite happy about. And you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. And you have to be honest with the other person, because you owe them that. You owe them that. I always say that it's a lot better to hurt someone with kindness than to hurt someone with deception. Hurting someone by breaking up the relationship because it's not working is a lot more understandable and a lot easier to deal with than deceiving them. Because that's a worse kind of pain. And it's a cowardly pain. It's a cowardly pain. It's taking the easy way out, no matter how much you look at it. And then say if you cheat and you try and cover that up and you go back to the person you're with and act like it's not happened and you're telling them that you love them, then you're the worst kind of person there is. There's no doubt about that. If you can cheat on the person that you say you love and then you still say that you love them, that's not cool. You can't do that to somebody. So if you're not happy with someone, then you leave. You move on. Cheating is never and should never be an option, but unfortunately it happens. Now I'm hoping that people who listen to this can take a few pointers from this and can have that courage if they're finding themselves in a predicament, that it's the best thing to leave an unhappy relationship than to be deceitful. And I can tell you something, if you do that, if you tell your girlfriend or your boyfriend that you're not happy anymore and you leave, then hats off to you. I salute you for that, because it takes a lot of courage and strength, especially if you find breaking breaking a relationship off difficult, if you find confrontation difficult, I commend you for your honesty. And the other person, your other partner, they should be able to try and understand that too. Because yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels like your world might be falling apart. But at least that person has been honest and have told you the truth about their emotions, about what they've been feeling. And in most cases, and I've experienced this myself, in most cases, after you've had time to process that relationship isn't working anymore, and after you've had time to process the breakup, you can often make friends. You can often, in some cases, remain friends, because I have a few of these people who have said to me, and they've been honest, it's not working out, and we're still friends. Because I've had that couple of days to kind of process things and get my emotions out of the way, and I was at a place where I can be more understanding of them. I would put myself in their perspective, and I would then be actually grateful, and I admired that person more because they were honest. Because the fact that they were big enough and mature enough to say to me, look, there's no connection here, there's no feelings, I don't love you, I don't think this is working, we should just be friends. I admire that more than somebody who would lie to my face and cheat on me. But I can also understand that breaking up isn't easy if you're unhappy, because there's some people out there who don't like to hurt other people. But sometimes you have to. You have to hurt them with kindness. But there's a way to break up. And that's by being honest and truthful. And if they can't deal with your honesty, then that's their own demon they have to work through. You shouldn't beat yourself up about being honest. You should never feel bad for being true to yourself and to the other person, because that's admirable. All that other person can do is work through their emotions, is work through their feelings, and hopefully come to a stage where they may look back and think, oh, actually, yeah, I kind of get why they broke up with me now. Because it's all a learning process. But what are the causes of cheating? What are the causes? Well, there can be a bunch of stuff, as I already explained previously. There could be alcohol. There could be lack of communication in a relationship. There can be insecurities, issues with commitment. But again, it all comes down to communication. So those are usually the causes. Someone that's insecure and not confident enough to confront their partner and talk about their feelings. And so instead, they run off and do the nasty. Which in most cases, when I've looked back on the girls that have cheated on me, it's always been around the similar line of they've met somebody that's more in their wavelength and they couldn't tell me about it, or they said they didn't want to hurt my feelings, so they couldn't have it in them to actually tell me it's not working because they didn't want to hurt me. But they ended up actually hurting me by lying to me. So it's a difficult thing when you're in that situation, but you have to kind of just almost take a different perspective on things. And if you have that perspective and that little bit of awareness, then hopefully cheating may not ever happen. If people had more awareness of those things, cheating wouldn't happen. Unless, of course, you're the truly arrogant kind who really doesn't care about hurting people's feelings, who treats people as a means to an end. And if it's one of those kind of people, then they're just a bunch of douchebags. Now, moving forward from cheating, from being cheated on, moving forward from that, again, it's healing. It's taking time for yourself. It's taking time to process what's happened. It's taking time to rebuild and unlearn things and gain a better sense of wisdom. Try and learn from what's happened, good and bad. Try and learn from it. You have to allow yourself to go through this grieving process. You have to allow these feelings to happen. Even though we hate them, we hate feelings so badly, but our minds are the ones that control all this stuff. And we control our minds. We are the ones that decide how ultimately we choose to react to a situation. Because we can't control the situation that happens, but we can control how we choose to react to it. So moving on happens with a bit of time. It's not something that happens overnight, because you can't learn a second language overnight. If someone says to you, just move on, just cheer up. That doesn't happen, because that's like somebody telling you to learn Japanese overnight. It's something that takes time. I mean, I wish I could learn a second language overnight. That'd be brilliant, I could be no habla inglés, por favor. And like, I could speak a different language. I have no idea what I just said there. I'm guessing no thank you, please, or something. I don't know. But it's something that we learn through time, and we gain a sense of wisdom. It's something that I've learned through time. To be able to even advise about this and understand it, I've had to go through it. I've had to endure all that stuff. But yet here I am, in front of you, in front of this microphone, talking about it, offering help, offering advice to something that I at one point didn't know how to handle. But now I do. And I'm sharing that with you. So I hope that this episode has been useful and relevant, as I hope all my episodes are. And remember that being cheated on, it's never your fault. There's nothing wrong with you. That's their mistake. That's their decision. And they should accept that. So don't beat yourself up. Because you're a good person. And nobody should be cheated on. So pick your crown up off the floor, put it back on your head, and focus on the future. But remember to be present in the now. Because life is short. The life we have, the one that was given to us, you have to appreciate every day, because tomorrow isn't promised to us. So I hope that this video is able to, this video and this podcast is able to help. And able to offer you some comfort and some peace of mind and assurance that you're going to be okay. It might not be right now, but you'll get through it. You will be okay. In time. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm the Aspieman, and I will see you in the next one. So that was my podcast episode. If you liked it, let me know. Leave some comments below. Like, subscribe, share, all that magic stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one too. Thank you for watching. I'm the Aspieman. Have a good one.